So some of you fellows look like you're ready to go out on patrol or something. You get your horses ready and going to get mounted up.
Yep. Go out here perform.
Okie doke. Now, is this a normal type of a corral that would be used to keep your horses from running off?
Yep.
And what situations would the rope be utilized? Do you normally see those at the forts, or maybe if you're on patrol for several days and don't have access to an enclosure, so this might be something you would use?
On all patrols and everything. This is where they picket line, they put their horses on. Tie them to that.
This is what you call a picket line. The
Okay.
horses would be tied to these at any camp that we happen to stop at, camp out. This is where we tie them up at. We tie them here, feed them here, dress them here. And they got to be ready to go when the captain hollers, saddle up. We got to be ready to saddle up and get going.
Right. So you don't leave the saddles and...
We don't leave the saddles on
them?
Put our saddles off, take them off when we're setting in, and we take them and we put them on our rack, saddle rack. Everybody's got their own saddle rack.
I see.
Keep your saddles on that rack, and when he says go, you get your stuff and you roll out.
Okay. So you have to carry that in addition to the other equipment that you would need to carry on your horse, which would contain your rations, and looks like maybe there's a woolen blanket there. You've got a canteen for your water, and
yes, sir.
I see a tin cup there, plus your bedroll.
Put your bedroll. What you got here, this is a bedroll, but you have two of these. One's for the horse, one's for you. Well, when you stop in, like a picket line like we do, and we get ready to go out the next flight, we switch those blankets around. Put the dry one on the horse while the other one's drying out. In the meantime, that one that you had that was dry already, you used as a blanket.
Yes, sir.
So you take that blanket and you stick it on your horse the next morning. So when you go, this back here is what you call a half tent.
Okay.
What that is each soldier's got a half a tent. You go butt to butt. You got a guy here and a guy here.
Put them together.
So you put them together, two to a bunk.
I see.
But your canteen here's for your water. That's for your cup when you're in encampment.
All right.
These are called your gauntlets.
Yes. And I see that you have tapaderos on your stirrups.
Yes. Those are for your foot so your feet don't slide out.
Yes, sir.
That way you don't get hung up if your horse happen to get away from you.
Yes, sir.
If something happen, you don't slide out and get your foot stuck in there.
Right. Also protection from cacti in areas of the country where there's lots of cacti.
Your rope is for when you catch your enemy, you tie them up.
Okay.
That's how you keep them in check.
I see.
You're camped out.
And also,
yes, sir.
Also use it for a picket line if you.
Now, does your saddle have a saddle horn?
No, it has no saddle horn. Now, what you got here, if you get a little on this other horse with a little closer. What you have here, these saddles, everybody thought they was made for the man, but they're not. They're made for the horse exactly. When they give you a horse, they give you a saddle, they take your horse and they fit that saddle to fit that horse.
Yes.
And this in the middle is so it's open, so you don't have all that pressure on your tailbone. Your tailbone will sit right down in there.
Yes.
And you're mainly riding on your thighs and your legs.
I see.
So that's what that's for. And this here, what you call a cinch.
Yes,
that's
sir.
just to keep your saddle for if it ever got
and it
too
goes
loose,
across the top of the
it goes
saddle.
over the top. That way, if your saddle ever gets, it's called a surf single. If your saddle gets away from you, it's too loose and it starts sliding, that'll hold it in place so you don't have no accidents.
Yes.
That's about it. This here's what your raincoat, that's what you throw over the top of you if you're raining.
Yes, sir.
And these here, bags here, those are for your horseshoes.
Okay.
Now, what you got this side horseshoes is for this side of your horse. You got another bag just like this on the other side, and that's made for that side of your horse.
Interesting.
So that's what you carry. That's what you carry your horseshoes in.
Yes, sir.
So if you lose a horse, you lose a shoe, you got another one to put on it.
So you've got to have some tacks with you, and how would you drive the tacks in, or the nails?
Well, when you got to the next station, you take them in and you have them fixed.
I see.
Get you another set of spurs, another set of shoes.
Yes, yes. Now, did you actually wear spurs? You do.
Yes, we do.
The small rowels were large rowels.
Mainly
standard issue, or
they're Army issued. But them affords when your horses don't want to take and cooperate, you got to stab them with them, make them get going where they got to go.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Now, the black soldiers back in the time, they got all the rummy downs that the white soldiers didn't want. So you will liable to end up with a set of boots that does not fit.
Okay.
You might have one that's too small, you might have one too big. Well, in that case, you have to find somebody within your group that might have the same problem, and then you can switch them out. But back then, black soldiers just had the shoes. They just came and just dumped them in a big old pile, said, get what you get.
Yes, sir.
And that's all you got.
Okay.
So you just had to deal with it. Same way with their horses. They had a horse that was dismantling and they couldn't do nothing with it. They'd give it to the black soldiers. So the black soldiers, they had to do what they had to do.
Yes, sir.
So they just, after a while, what they do is line them up. You got a bad horse, everybody take a turn. Pretty soon that horse, after so many of them, he's going to give up.
Yes, sir.
So you just have to stay strong, stay hard.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of times
that's about the way we are.
I do a lot of oral history interviews, and I interviewed a fellow whose family established themselves in northeastern New Mexico and into Colorado long before the Civil War.
So every other day they wrote,
and they found out that they could make some money by catching the wild mustangs and then getting them to a point where they could either be ridden or they could pull a wagon. Once the Civil War came along, the U.S. government was in a huge need for horses for their cavalry, and that's when they really started making a lot of money. So did the Buffalo soldiers have to take on some of those wild ponies like that?
I'm pretty sure, I'm not for sure,
okay,
but I'm certain that they, like you said, the government bought a lot of them horses and they just bring them in and drop them in, and there you are.
Yes.
So I would say more than likely, yes, they probably ended up with some of them wild horses.
Yes.
But that's mainly where they got them. When they couldn't get them where they was manly, that's where we came in and they dropped them down, and that's what you ended up with.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, looks like you fellows are about ready to ride, possibly.
Yes, sir. We're
So,
getting ready to do our cavalry maneuvers in the next few minutes.
Okay.
So,
well, be sure and try to catch some of that activity as well. Thank you very much for contributing to American history.
One day they was making hardtack.